Yeah. Okay.
Okay, please bring your conversations to a close. Alright, would anybody care to share with the rest of the class what they spoke about as far as the meaning of the economy? Yes.
Oh, like how a country makes money.
Okay, how a country makes money, that would definitely be included. Okay, what else? Anything else? Alright, well, I'll tell you what, as a class, it's pretty good. Okay? Economy is probably not a word you've come across that much. Alright? An economy, the real formal definition of it is written on this slide up at the top. Okay, but all I want you to think about when it comes to economy is, what does a country make? What do they sell? What do they buy? What do individual people buy? All right, and then think about, do they have a currency? What sort of jobs do people have? It is all the money things, so to speak, about a country. All right, and this is going to be different in basically every part of the world. Now, there's a few buzzwords here that I want to go over each one of them. Okay, and then I'm going to kind of go over what the process of how an economy grows over time. All right, so. Material wealth is just the overall wealth of a country. Now, this isn't just, does a country have a bank account that has this much money in it? Because there's more that goes into it, right? If a government owns a bunch of buildings, okay, and they own a huge navy with all these ships in it and own all these different goods and materials, those all have value too. So it is the combination between how much money they actually have and how much goods they have. Does that make sense? Okay, so a combination of that, right? So if you think about the United States, right, we own a bunch of, I'm just going to go with this example because my older sister's in the Navy. They own a bunch of aircraft carriers. It's a big naval boat, all right? Those are worth billions of dollars each, right? So that would go towards their total. All right, so if we were measuring the material wealth of the United States. All right, production. Production is just the process of creating a good. This is another word you got to know. Production. Okay, so what you'll be looking into is what sort of things does your country create? All right, so in the United States, we have a company called Ford, right? That's an American company. They create cars. Okay, that's something they would produce. That's something that's in production. Distribution is the process of moving those different things that we produce or make to other countries or across the United States. So if we're going to go with that car example, how many of you guys have ever gone down the highway and seen those big semi-trucks that have all the cars stacked on top of it? You guys ever seen those? Yeah. All right, so that would be a way that we transport them. Okay? Or if Ford wants to sell cars in South Africa, they can put the cars on a plane and fly it there. All right, so that's how we would distribute the different goods. Consumption is what sorts of things does the general public buy, right? So, general good, an iPad. Okay, this is something that the general public buys in America. Okay, so what sorts of things do people like to buy in whichever country you're doing? All right, this could also mean something like, we also like to buy cheeseburgers. That's also a good. It doesn't need to be like something that's made in a factory, right? A cheeseburger is something an American would like to buy as well. All right, industrialization. This just means that there's factories around. Some countries don't really have factories at all, right? So you're going to have to look into it. Do they primarily have factories, or do people work in other jobs? Okay, is it all farming? Something like that. Okay, wealth distribution. All right. I'm gonna go a little bit about this in a second, but first I want to talk about currency. So currency is the specific type of money that a country uses. All right, so in the United States, what's our currency called? Who knows? What's it called?
Dollar.
The dollar. Does anyone know any other countries? Yes.
Euros.
Euros for the European Union. Any other ones? Pounds, where do they do that? UK, good.
Pesos.
Pesos, where do they do that?
South America.
Okay, so some Latin American countries, Mexico is the most popular, yeah? Any other ones?
Yeah,
Yen, where's that? Okay, I think yen is actually China, but close. Japan might be similar. I'm not 100% sure what Japan's is. Okay, any other ones? No. Okay, but so anyway, there's a lot of different currencies. Okay, so what currency does your country use? That's an easy one. Okay, you can just look up what is the currency of this country. All right. All right. So wealth distribution. I'm going to draw a little picture here on the screen for you, so you know it's going to be really good. Some people compare me to Picasso, but I don't know. I think that's not really true. All right, so anyway, here, I'm going to draw a triangle here. That's not bad, honestly, for drawing with my finger. All right, so you know the traditional social pyramid, right? You got lower, middle, and upper class, okay? Wealth distribution is not asking you, are there these classes, okay? It's asking you, how different are these classes? So, is the upper class super, super rich, and the lower class is super, super poor, and there's a ton of people in the lower class and not a lot in the upper? Or, if you're in the lower class, are you still okay? You can survive, okay, but you definitely are on the lower income end. And the upper class might not be that rich, but they're definitely wealthy. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see the difference? Okay, so concentration, right? So is there it really is measuring how many people are in each and how different all of them are. Does that make sense? Okay, I hope so. If not, you can call me over when you're researching. All right, then there's also different phases and economies go through, right? So the most traditional economy that there is, okay, would be an agrarian economy, all right? So when you think about any sort of old civilizations, they're mostly agrarian, or countries that might be considered third world today, all right, might be agrarian, meaning that they farm to make money. So all their goods are basically they grow things. So if your country's agrarian, you might want to look into what crops. Is it corn, sugarcane, wheat, and barley? Okay, there's a lot of different ones it could be. Now, the United States, for example, we have a big farming economy, right? We've got farming. But that's not our main industry, so we wouldn't be considered agrarian. Yes?
What are those little, like, pink corn things on there?
This thing?
No, on the picture. The big old picture with those corn.
Why are they blue? I think it's like a padding that they put on it to make them less dangerous. Do you know what I mean? So that they don't fuck their head around and... Huh? Yeah, I don't think these are horses. I think they're ox.
Okay. I know the one on the left is one. Okay.
All right. Another type of economy, and this normally comes after a country is primarily agricultural or agrarian or farming, is industrial, where things are built in big factories with all these smokestacks. Okay? You guys are all from D.C., so you don't drive past factories all the time, but I grew up in Cleveland, so we had factories all over the place. All right, so you'd see factories. And then there's what like America is today, which is a post-industrial economy. Does anyone know anyone who works in a factory? Maybe you know one or two people. Probably not that many, okay? Because we're beyond people working in factories. Most people work in the service industry, right? They sit in a box and provide services for people, whether that's answering a phone or service industry could even be nurses and doctors and things like that. So people have kind of moved on from the manufacturing sector. Okay? Are there any questions about economies? All right, you guys have the rest of the period to work in your groups, come up with create a good report on your country's economy that includes many of those factors. All right? All right, I'll put that slide back up for y'all.